Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Karuna Babbar. Welcome to K-Series Cybersecurity Lecture Notes. In this video, I will cover Ethical Hacking Part 1. Ethical hacking is locating weaknesses or vulnerabilities of computer, network, or information systems using the intent and actions of malicious hacker. Here, the major difference is that a person is hired by the company or organization to discover those weaknesses in a legal and ethical manner. He or she is authorized to do the activity. That is, our intention should not be malicious. We do not wish any harm to the organization, and whatever we discover, it is reported back to the organization and not misused. Once we report back, we would also help to mitigate or remove these weaknesses or vulnerabilities and enhance the security cover of the organization. In this example, the hacker, the malicious hacker attacks an individual with a malicious intent and gather information whatever he got. He may steal the data also. Now the ethical hacker also attacks the individual but with a good intent so as to find the vulnerabilities into his system and helping the victim by providing the solution or by plugging his vulnerabilities. Here, the first thing is authorization from the victim, and the second thing is good intent, where we do not misuse the information and report it back to the victim or the organization. Need for ethical hacking. Now, why do we need ethical hackers? Ethical hackers prevent hackers from cracking into an organization's network. System vulnerabilities are discovered by ethical hackers which could have been missed out otherwise. Ethical hackers can also enhance, analyze an organization's security policies and protect customer data. Now, skills of an ethical hacker. The first and the foremost skill an ethical hacker must have is the knowledge of operating system, such as Windows, Linux, Unix, Macintosh, how to troubleshoot, how these operating systems need to be configured so as to make them secure. It is not that by simply installing firewall we can secure our operating systems, but you need to configure permissions in your OS of what users are allowed to do and what not to. For example, limiting the installation of applications. How we can do that? We need to go into the system, set the security center of the Windows, and we need to configure configuration security parameters over there of what are acceptable softwares and what are unacceptable. Same with the Linux and Mac OS. Similarly, we have the desktop versions and the server versions of the operating systems. As ethical hacker, we need to know both how to configure them, how to provide secured services within the organization so that they can be consumed in a secure manner by all the employees. Then comes the programming skill set. Knowledge of programming languages such as HTML, PHP, Python are highly required. They should not be great developers where they can create huge applications, but they should be able to develop scripts, understand and analyze those scripts, and figure out what the output should be for the hacking goals they have set. Then is the networking skills. An ethical hacker must have an in-depth understanding of networking security since computer will always be connected to the network either through a local area network or the internet. Hackers should know how the networking works. He should know the 7 layers of OSI model. He should know which protocol work on those 7 layers. He should identify the TCP IP model and how the OSI model can be mapped to TCP IP. He should understand how TCP and UDP work, how each and every protocol is crafted, and how they are supposed to behave for us to analyze and understand any network based attacks. Then is the security tools. Knowledge of various security measures. He should know where the vulnerabilities would lie, what are the latest exploits available in the market, and he should be able to identify them. He should be able to deal with the security and to analyze the security and how he can further enhance the security of the organization. The knowledge of security laws, it is important that an ethical hacker is aware of the local security laws and standards, because an organization cannot do an illegal activity. Whatever security measures they have, they need to adhere the laws of the land. These should be legal in nature and should not do any undue harm to any of the employees or any third party clients. So ethical hacker must know the laws even before start testing the vulnerabilities within the system. Certification. An ethical hacker must have a global certification related to networking, security, and even programming. Why? Because most of the organizations, when they hire ethical hackers, they look out for the certifications, especially globally valid certifications, so that they can be sure that the person they are hiring has the required skill set. Now, what are the ethical hacker responsibilities? To identify the vulnerabilities and write scripts to see the validity and complexity of these vulnerabilities, to develop tools to increase the security or to configure the security in such a way that it would be difficult to breach. See, risk is a threat that is posed to an organization by a possibility of getting hacked. Let's say I, as an ethical hacker, identified 10 vulnerabilities. Within those 10 vulnerabilities, I do a risk assessment. Which of those vulnerabilities is more critical and have more impact on the client? And what would be the repercussions if those vulnerabilities would actually get exploited? So I'm trying to find out in the risk assessment that if the client gets hacked with the vulnerabilities identified, what is the loss they would be facing once they get hacked? The loss could not only be in the terms of data, it could be a financial loss or a loss of reputation. What penalties they have to pay to their customers for their data breach? Continuing with the ethical hacker responsibilities, to set up policies in such a way so that it would be difficult for hackers to get access to devices or to crucial data. The policies may be administrative, how to govern the employees. For example, the password policy, the administration must have a tough password policy that needs a certain level of complexity so that these cannot be accessed easily, and without the valid passwords, unknown entrants are not allowed to enter the organization's information system. Then, to train the staff for network security, we got a lot of employees in an organization. So we need to train the staff of what is allowed and what is not allowed. How to keep themselves secure so that they don't get compromised, thus becoming the vulnerabilities themselves to the organization. What is penetration testing? Penetration testing is a part of ethical hacking where it specifically focuses on penetrating the information systems. It could be penetration through SQL injection, or it could be a buffer owner flaw, or it could be a simple password tracking attempt. As you can see in my picture also, penetration testing can be of phishing attack, a password cracking attack, a denial of service attack. It could be any of them. What is Kali Linux? Why it is used? Kali Linux is an operating system used by hackers and ethical hackers, both because of tool sets that this Linux contains. This operating system is created by professionals with lot of embedded tools. It is a Debian based operating system with advanced penetration testing and security auditing features. There are more than 600 plus tools on the operating system that can help you leverage any of the attacks, password tracking, sniffing, and many more. Kali contains hundreds of tools which is used for various information security tasks like computer forensics, reverse engineering, or even getting access to different machines and creating worms, viruses, or trojans. It is an open source, that means it is a free to utilize. You can have the source code or even modify it according to your own choices. The customization of tools is also available. You can download the third party tool and install them. There is a wide support for wireless and network cards. Multiple language support is also there by the Kali. You can create a lot of attacking scripts, tools, and write your own exploits. It helps you to create your own robust system where you can create your own tests and then launch them against the unsuspecting victims, and that is legal as per ethical hacking is concerned. See, more than 600 tools are provided by Kali Linux. It's an open source. Wide range wireless support is also there. We can inject SQL queries. Multi-language support is also there. Now, phases of penetration testing. First phase is our reconnaissance phase. This is the most important phase for a tester. This is where the hacker or ethical hacker gather all the necessary information of the target victim machine. Once you have that information, you would then be able to identify which tools to use and how to attack the victim. For example, you want to find out the IP addresses, domains, subdomains, the network architecture that have been utilized, or the operating systems used by the victim. You might want to identify the employee structure of the organization for the social engineering attacks in the future. For example, email addresses, telephone numbers, anything or everything that gives you information about the target is something you want at the reconnaissance stage. This information becomes your baseline or your database for further attacks. The next phase is of scanning. Now, based on the information you have gathered during reconnaissance phase, now you can scan for the light machines and their open ports, protocols, and procedures the target is using. You can identify the vulnerabilities, the open ports for further access. In scanning, why do we need light machines? Because we want to find out the machines which are booted up, have operating systems running on the network. If the machine is not available on the network or shut down, that machine cannot be hacked for technical attacks. Through open ports, which would be your entry point, you can identify the services and the versions of the services availing by the machine. Based on the information about the ports, services of the machine, you can develop your attacks accordingly. The next phase is gain access. Now here we try to gain access to our victim machine. It could be a social engineering attack based on the information we gather at scanning phase. If we had identified a vulnerability to exploit, so here we can use that exploit to gain access, or we might just craft Trojan and try to execute that Trojan on the victim's machine to check whether we get the access through that particular manner. Once you have that access, it could be a simple password cracking attack, or you gain access to the computer only for few times, as these attacks would be temporary. For example, if we have cracked the password but somebody changed the password, so after every 30 days our attack would be useless. If the Trojan is executed, we may get the connection to that machine for once. But how would we get a repeated connection to that machine over and over again? If you work to reconnect, if you want to reconnect to that machine, that's when we need maintain access phase, which is our next phase. Here we can install rootkits, keyloggers, sniffers, anything that can get us a backdoor entry to the victim's machine. If we are already successful in adding Trojan to the startup menu, so every time the operating system boots, it will automatically execute it, and then we will maintain the backdoor entry to the victim's machine. Then comes the cover tracks. All these activities will going to leave traces in the victim's machine. If we have installed a Trojan, the Trojan being an application would create directories and files. A virus would be destructive in nature. If we are executing a script, we leave some logs behind. If we even log in through the cracked password attack, it will create a log entry at particular time span along with the IP address being utilized. In the covering attacks, we are essentially trying to avoid detection by deleting traces of our activities. That means we need to identify where the logs are stored. We need to address those logs. We need to delete them or modify them in such a way that our activities are not traceable. At the end, every thief doesn't want to be traced, isn't it? Because if the victim comes to know that something has happened, they would start increasing their security parameters. They might scan their systems or might try to go offline. Thus, our attacks would no longer be of any use. Once you are successful in concealing your backdoor entry, you can monitor the victim's machine to the extent you want to. After all the attacks and manipulations, we need to generate a report for the management to apprise them of whatever we have achieved from the activities. For example, if we came across 20 flaws and we made 30 attacks, what was the outcome of those attacks? What was the intended outcome of those attacks? And create a report which will give a detailed analysis of our procedures which we followed along with the screenshots and evidences of activities. What was the output and the expected output, and submit it to the management, giving them the idea of what vulnerabilities and flaws exist in their system or devices that need to be mitigated. So, there are 6 phases of penetration testing. The baseline of any ethical hacker is gather as much information as possible. That's all in this video. In my next video, I will cover few more aspects of ethical hacking. Thanks for watching.